Hey there gang, time for another comic book unboxing video, and as always I have no idea what is in this box we're looking at, but I need to get everything out so I can grade it for sale on eBay, and I invite you to look over my shoulder as I do that, and we'll have some fun talking about some cool old comic books. So if you like comic books, stick around, we're going to have some fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghalla. My name is Duke, and this is an unboxing video. And I need to make a couple of apologies right up front. One, I'm kind of filming this in the middle of the night. Couldn't sleep. And so this is kind of an ASMR video because, as I have told you before, I live in a very tiny house. And my wife is sleeping just off in the other room. So I need to not be as loud and boisterous and laughing as I sometimes am, just because, again, I'm very poor and my house is very small. Although, blessings, I do have a house. So, I mean, there is that. The other thing is that I've been having problems with the battery on my iPad. I don't have a camera. I just have my iPad, my iPhone. And so I am filming this with the iPhone because I can't keep the earbuds for the microphone use plugged into the iPad long enough before the battery will die. But the problem is that my iPhone is old. I don't want to say it's old, but let's just say it came over on the Mayflower. So it's, I don't know how well this is going to work. And of course, I still, with a broken foot, still can't get upstairs into the attic space where I normally film. So I'm here at the kitchen table, and I just have a desk lamp, and so I've had to pivot that away so we don't get any glare. And so this video might be a little dark. So it's going to be dark. It's going to sound like I'm whispering in your ear, and the sound's going to be crappy. So, as I always say, even when I am doing what I consider to be a good quality video, come for the comics, stay for the high production values. So, anyway, let's get to it. You're here for the comic books, not for me, or my apologies. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the groovy things, and let's get right into it. Oh, I just want to say, again, I haven't peeked. I have no idea what is in this box. If this is your first time here, I work for a company that buys and sells comic books, and one of my jobs for the company is to grade the books that we sell on eBay as what we call raw singles, a single comic book lot, a book that is, quote unquote raw, has not been slabbed by a, I don't want to say a professional grading service, because, again, I grade comic books pretty much full-time. I'm a professional. And so that's what these are. I just want to be upfront here. This isn't really a commercial for the company. The point is just looking and talking about cool old comic books. But I want to be upfront with you and let you know that these are not my books, and where I'm getting from and where they're going. They are going to eBay. The seller name is .com Comics, should that interest you. Okay, so let's get right to it. Oh, one of the reasons I went into that is, and if this is your first time here, fair warning, I do go off on tangents like this, and like get off the beaten track, off into the blue wax, and forget what I was talking about. I have no idea what is in this box, but just looking at the edges, it looks to me like we're going to see a lot of Silver Age books, and I do see from some of the books that are kind of peeking out of the top some go-go checks. And so I've grabbed this first stack already, and here we can see, this is what we mean, if you're not familiar, right along the top here, this is what we mean when we say go-go checks. It's this black and white checkerboard across the top of DC Comics. And these appeared on DC Comics for about 18 months or so. And I believe they were called go-go checks at the time. My memory, faulty as it is that there were ads in the books that referred to these as go-go checks. So this isn't something that, fandom later, looking backwards, like when we named the ages, the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, it was always looking backwards and giving a name to something that had happened prior. This wasn't invented, decades later, the term go-go checks. I think they were calling them that at the time, but it was the invention of editorial director Irwin Donenfeld, who was the younger brother of DC Comics owner Harry Donenfeld. And Harry, he had died by the point that the checks came along, passed away of lingering results of a brain injury sustained in a fall that has sometimes been referred to as mysterious and or nefarious. No one's really sure exactly what happened to him, and there are thoughts that maybe it was some sort of gangland thing. And I happen to have this right here on the table because I just got this the other day. Let me reach over and grab it. This is a great book. Men of Tomorrow, Geeks, Gangsters, and the Birth of the Comic Book. So now the author, Gerard Jones, is a little problematic because he was subsequently, after writing this book, arrested, and I believe he is in jail now for soliciting a minor online. But if you can separate the art from the artist, this is a fantastic book about the early days of the comic book industry. And he talks a lot about Donenfeld and his connections to gangsterism, particularly in the era of Prohibition, and the thought that Donenfeld might have risen to the top of his particular publishing company by sneaking alcohol into shipments of paper from Canada during Prohibition. It's all very mysterious. Donenfeld was the failed younger brother, I believe Romanian immigrant family, and he was actually born over there. Irwin was actually the brother who was born in the States. But he failed as a salesman. He failed operating a clothing store, and finally threw in with his brothers who had a print shop. And the brothers were kind of radical. They did a lot of print work, allegedly for the early Communist Party and Margaret Sanger and things like that. But somehow Harry came in as sort of a charity case junior partner. And within a few years, the two older brothers just disappeared, like erased from history. And Harry was in charge of the company. And there is some allegation that that was, again, due to his involvement with gangsters, that he was able to take over the company. But he kept on Irwin, brought him in and kept him on. So it was those two younger brothers who ran the printing company that eventually evolved into DC Comics. And that's a whole story, how all of that happened. But anyway, Irwin, Harry's gone at this point by the late 60s. Irwin is the editorial director, and he came up with these go-go checks as a means of attracting attention on the newsstand, because at that time, in most places, comic books were displayed vertically, so that you would have like a board in front and a slot that the books slid into, and all you could really see was just the title. And so Irwin thought this checkerboard thing would, because of the stark contrast with the black and white, it would immediately attract the interest of rather, the interested buyer or the casual observer walking by. This would draw the eye. So that was the whole point of that. They were only on the books for about 18 months. And they were done away with when Carmine Infantino became the publisher. He thought, and this is a direct quote, the stupidest thing we ever did. So anyway, enough about that. Here is a nice Joker cover, and with Bizarro Superman, and a rarity, Bizarro Batman, complete with torn cape. And I love how his utility belt, the capsules, are actually little diamonds, misshapen diamonds. So there you go. And the creatures were rocky, almost thing-like, not just in the face, but here you can see they've taken pains to draw that their legs and arms are kind of lumpy with jutting rock-like protrusions. So just something to keep in mind if you ever see Bizarro adapted to the screen. Moving on, here is World's Finest number 140 with a Clayface Superman. That's cool. The Ghost of Batman number 139. 138 with Pygmy Robin. This cracks me up. So Robin at this period was perpetually about 12 years old. But he doesn't even have like childlike proportions. He has like full adult proportions here, but he's just like 4 feet tall. It's just the weirdest, strangest looking cover to me. Anyway, Aquaman, and here's some go-go checks. That is number 27. A nice, looks like well, no. I was going to say it looked like a gray wash tone cover, but I guess I'm mistaken. There's 14. Here is 13, and I think this is the first appearance of Mira. First or second? Oh, no, Mira, our best friend. So, okay, so she's been around a bit This is an early appearance anyway. She first appeared in an early issue of Aquaman, but I guess it wasn't that one. Again, I know it all, I just can't remember it all at once. Here's Quisp. This was Aquaman's fifth dimensional friend. During this period, every DC hero seems had their own little imp, whether it was Mxyzptlk or Batmite or the one in Flash. Oh, I forget his name. This is, because of the darkness here, I can't quite see. I think that's number 8. And number 6. And there's Quisp here. 2 Quisps. Actually, Quisp is green here. That might not be Quisp. Oh, I might be mistaken. It kind of looks like Quisp, but maybe this isn't. I don't know. I haven't read a lot of Silver Age Aquaman, and I gotta say, this is a big run of Aquaman. Usually, a lot of what we get in, a lot of the collections that we buy, we get a lot of Marvel comics, and I don't normally see, for grading purposes, as singles, a big collection of Aquaman books like this. And that's partly because, A, we just don't get them. There aren't a lot of full or even lengthy runs of Aquaman out there being sold into the marketplace. There may be more as the future goes on here, and some of those collectors start to, don't want to be morbid, but die off. But also, until recently, this is Aquaman number 3. Wow. Still now in his own magazine. Until recently, a lot of Aquamans would have gone into multi-book lots when the collection comes in, and the boss sorts them. Rather, they're going to go to CGC and be sold at comiclink.com, or they're going to be singles or multi-book lots to be sold on eBay, or rather they're going to go in the retail store or into dollar boxes. Aquaman used to get sorted into multi-book lots unless they were really high grade. But as the market has evolved over the last year or so post-COVID, it's a nice cover. I think that looks kind of Nick Cardy as well. Dig the new King of Atlantis. Anyway, Aquaman books used to go into multi-book lots, and so now they're starting to appear as, at least for us anyway, as singles, as raw singles. So this is really and truly about the longest run of Aquaman I have seen in a long time. Here's Ocean Master. Here is Dead Aquaman. And this is interesting. Metamorpho appears here, and this is right around the time of his appearance in the Justice League. And there wasn't always a lot of communication those days between the editorial offices at DC Comics. And a prime example is how Wonder Girl ended up as a member of the Teen Titans, because the editor of the Teen Titans did not know that the Wonder Girl that was appearing in the Wonder Woman comics wasn't a separate character, as might have appeared on some of the covers, as it might have seemed that way, or was actually just Wonder Woman when she was younger, and because of some Amazon tech, she was able to have team-ups with herself as a girl and as a baby, what was known as Wonder Tot. And so I think the reason that Metamorpho appears here as the editor of Aquaman might have actually thought that Metamorpho was a member of the Justice League, because he did appear in a Justice League issue, and although he actually turned down, well, there's 2 theories actually here. One, he turned down Justice League membership, but the other thing is that he said, I'll always be around if you need me, and so there's this feeling that he was like a reserve member of the Justice League, so technically he was a Justice League member, but in later years, whenever they had an issue that featured everybody who was ever a Justice Leaguer, Metamorpho never appeared. So, well, there's that long and pointless story. What do I got? Oh, the rest of these are upside down. All right, spin. And here we go. And so, secret societies were a thing, and this would have been around the time of Get Smart. And so Aquaman had his own secret society, O.G.R.E, and I can't tell you. I'll have to look it up and put it on the screen below. I can't tell you what O.G.R.E was an acronym for, but that was the secret society he was fighting at the time. And there's another issue. What is this? Number 32. This is the first appearance of Aqua Girl. And she didn't last very long and was eventually killed off in Crisis, although versions of her have reappeared in various more modern Aquaman comics. Here's a good old Batman book with a piece of the cover missing. I'm not sure what issue number that is. Well, actually, I can tell you. Let's look in the indicia. It is number 142. Oop! Yeah, look at that. Batman was so offended that not only was part of his front cover missing, but a third of the back cover and a big old rip on the last page knocked him right over. He was just fainted dead away at the very thought of it. Now I don't even know if he's going to be entirely on camera here. He can't even stand. He's so woozy. He's so shaken by how somebody would treat his comic book. Okay, there we go. Here's an 80-page giant. Love the 80-page giants. Of course, an 80-page comic book today costs $10. But here they were just 25 cents. I'll put on screen inflation. What was 25 cents in whatever year this was? It was probably 65, 66. Here's all of the Batman v Robin or Dead Robin spotlights. What is this one? The Strange Lives of Batman. The Grown-Up Boy Wonder as, what was he, some kind of a falcon hawk bird thing? Interesting. The Doomed Batman with superpowers, Zebra Batman, Phantom Batman, Rip Van Batman, Merman Batman. Wouldn't he have just been Merbat? Alright, 149. Superpowered Robin in 150. The False Face Society. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 152. What does this say? Oh, it's just a tag in here for what it is. Like I can't see the issue number. I need this big note to remind me. What is this wrapped in? It's like cellophane. We get books. I swear to you, we get collections in like, the books are in all kinds of things. Wrapped in cellophane, in plastic sheets, in notebook sleeves, in freezer bags. You never know. You never know. Here's a 219. Batman looking a little more modern there. And I think we're probably going to end up cutting this box in two just because I got chatty. So we got a little bit more to go, but just to let you know, we're not going to do the whole box in this video. Here's 154. We just saw this cover on that 80-page giant. Robin Dies at Dawn. Bum, bum, bum. Here's a nice Ace the Bat Hound. Number 158. Very nice. The Great Clayface Joker Feud. And there's your original Batgirl. That's number 159. 160. The Alien Boss of Gotham City. The Batman creature. 162. Now we're looking more modern. This is kind of a classic cover. And it's another Dead Robin cover. I mean, you could get a collection of all of the Batman covers where Robin appears to die or is in dire danger or dead already, and you'd have yourself a nice little collection of books. Go-Go checks and a reference to the TV show. Here's another one wrapped in plastic with a little note helpfully telling me that it is Batman 184, cover date September 66. Here's Gaggy. He was a thing there for a hot minute, and I think his name was, I'll have to look it up and put it on the screen, but it was like Gagmeyer G. Gagenstein or something like that, but they just called him Gaggy. Ooh, the Eraserhead, wiping out Batman. Little far out, a little Doom Patrol-ish. This is a very, very popular book. This one does quite well. One of the relatively few Silver Age appearances of the Penguin. Took the Penguin a long time to kind of get a toehold into the Silver Age. Brave and the Bold with Hawkman. That's an early Hawkman. Number 36. So that's a very nice Joe Kubert cover, but that's a very, very early Hawkman. I don't believe that's his first or second appearance, but it might be third or fourth. I'll have to look it up. And this is, of course, the Silver Age Hawkman, Carter Hall of the planet Thanagar, number 42. And it's interesting that whereas they, when they modernized the Flash and the Green Lantern, they changed their look, with Hawkman, they pretty much kept his look, modified the helmet to a small extent, and towards the end of his career, the Golden Age Hawkman wore just a cloth mask. So they went back to the helmet and modified it to a certain extent. Of course, the other thing that was always struck me weird, even as a kid, like, if you look at where his eyes should be on the face, they're about in the middle of this cheek. So the eyes on the helmet never line up with where his eyes would actually be. So it always just looks a little strange. But anyway, it's just interesting to me that they kept pretty much intact the look of the original Hawkman. Here's number 43. Hawkman got a couple of tryouts in The Brave and the Bold. He didn't take quite as well or quite as quickly as Flash or Green Lantern. It took a while for him to graduate into his own series. Here's a Flash Green Lantern team up, Flash 143. Here is 159 with the empty costume trope. That's another thing. If you put together a collection of all of the covers where the costume is empty and the hero's walking away, or for whatever reason you just have the empty costume on the cover, again, you would have quite a sizable little collection. Here's 161, again with our go-go checks. And you tell me, do you think the go-go checks are, as Carmine Infantino said, the stupidest thing DC ever did, or do they look cool, or do they just look cool to you because of the nostalgia reasons? I know when I first started discovering Silver Age DCs, it was there was some kind of a show at the main mall, and I was a kid. I was only like maybe 12 or 13, and somehow I had acquired some early Legion comic books, some adventure comic books with the go-go checks. And so for that reason, I think the go-go checks just really always appealed to me because they reminded me of that first, those first Legion comic books that I had got. And so it just screamed high quality to me. So I loved when I first started seeing Silver Age DCs. I would get excited when I saw the go-go checks. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a good one. This is a classic cover. This cover was repeated many years later when DC did an event, an homage to these classic Silver Age covers, and this is one of the ones that they redid. But there's the Flash breaking the fourth wall. But anyway, back to my question. What do you think? Do you think the go-go checks, this is thin. This one does not have all its pages. I can tell just by the feel of it. It's probably missing at least one magazine, meaning a four-page fold. But do you think that the go-go checks are stupid, as Carmine Infantino said, or do you think that as something to draw the reader's eye, do you think that that's effective? The famous Flash getting married cover, very nice. Very, very nice. And this, we'll call this the last stack of this box. Matter of fact, I'll take just a little bit of a smaller stack there. Leave some for next time. So this will be the last stack in this video, and then we will finish off this box in the next video. Here's Flash on crutches. Can't run very fast that way, and I know how Flash feels, the broken foot that I've had for a while now, although I did just recently get permission from the doctor to start walking on it, which was convenient because I was already walking on it. I mean, I'm not climbing the stairs or anything, but just hobbling around the house. And as I said, my house is small. I don't have far to go. It's just a few steps. But anyway, and I am driving to work. I am driving now, so I am getting into the office. Now the Flash and Green Lantern teamed up quite a bit, which is funny because they're kind of really different people. So it's sort of surprising that they would be teamed up so often. But, Flash and Green Lantern teamed up a lot in the Golden Age. is an 80-page giant. And the 80-page giants can be a little confusing for some people because there was a series 80-page giant that ran about 15 issues. And then after that, the format was used as, regular issues of the various series. Here's number 169. Captain Cold and Heatwave, that's a natural pairing, as it was in the CW. 141. The Trickster, that's a nice cover. 142. Now this is different. This is not a traditional 80-page giant. This is an actual annual. This is the first Flash annual, one of the first DC annuals, and Batman and Superman got several annuals. The Flash only ever got just this one during the Silver Age, but it was a format very much like the 80-page giants. And that's what annuals were at that time. It wasn't like something tied into a big crossover event or anything that was going on, a giant size issue of the regular series, tied to what was going on in that series. They were reprints of recent stories, a collection. Not necessarily all stories from the previous year, as might be intimated from the designation as an annual. But this is how I would do annuals today if I was in charge of DC Comics. Fat chance of that, right? But I would do the annuals as like a reprint of the previous year's stories. So, Flash Annual 2022 would reprint, say, all the stories from 2021. Although you couldn't get them, it would have to be like a trade paperback. You couldn't get them all into an 80-page story. And you might have to do 2 volumes, depending. Here's another Flash Green Lantern team up. My God, they were buds, huh? And is this the last one? Okay, this is the last one for this stack and for this video. Flash number 132. So that was a cool box. That was all DC Silver Age. That's fun. I like that. I don't know about you, but I had a good time. Sorry there, Batman. We didn't see many of your books, but maybe when we finish out this box, maybe when we do the rest of this box, there will be a lot of Batman. Good. I would like to see some of me, because I'm Batman. Sorry, I apologize for that. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway, until tomorrow when we finish off this box, goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other.